Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. If you've had long-term exposure to a narcissistic individual or several of them, one of the things that becomes very clear is these people have anger issues. I mean, when you approach life thinking, I have to be in control of you and whatever else is in front of me, I don't really care about what you think or feel, they're very selfish, they have an attitude of entitlement, when they have zero empathy because they feel so condescendingly superior toward you, that's going to be the foundation for lots of anger on their part. They feel anger on their side, and then they generate anger on the inside of you. Now, one of the things that I know that can happen with you is that you can become so weary of the anger that's just there on the inside of that relationship. Now, again, we're talking about a wide array of possibilities. It could be somebody that you work with, the person that you live with. It can be with family members or people in your social circle, organizations. The anger can be so strong on the inside that you begin thinking, what am I going to do with it? And many times the narcissist will just keep coming back at you, and they'll keep throwing their dysfunction at you, and it triggers you. Or sometimes you just, the narcissist may be out of your presence, but as you're thinking about what's happened, you still get triggered. Now, at times, after time, you can get to the point of saying, you know what, I need to pull away. I need to forge a new way of life. I don't want to be under the influence of that narcissistic pattern that person is pushing onto me. I want to move on. Now, the question that you can have is, what am I going to do about this lingering anger? Because I have spoken to so many people who have made the decision to either go as low contact as possible as they can with that narcissist, or to go no contact. But that doesn't mean that the emotional damage that they have inflicted is completed. It's finished. It's done. Now, one of the things that we're going to be talking about here today is you figuring out what your higher priorities are going to be. In other words, anger's there, but I don't want it to be my number one priority. I have higher priorities, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But the question is, how do I get to the place to where I can go into a much better space? Now, to get there, it's going to require let's call it a threefold process. Number one, as you try to unhook from the anger that the narcissist has generated, you're going to need to allow yourself plenty of time to feel sadness and grief. We're going to try to acknowledge, something really bad happened, and I'm not going to deny what was there. As time goes on, though, I'm hoping you can have an ongoing sense of reflection about what all of this has taught you. What was that all about? That person I lived with, or that person I grew up with, or that person I put a lot of trust into, or that person that really caught me off guard with such negative reactions to me. What does all that mean, and how am I going to process all of that? And then I'm hoping, and hear me out on this one, I'm hoping you can eventually have what I call a healthy resignation. And by that I mean the price is too high for me to hold on to anger. I don't want to have a sense of hate. I accept the fact that narcissists are going to stay in that space, but I'm not going to join them. And there's a certain acceptance of what is. Now, in order to get there, there are multiple insights and awarenesses and thoughts that you want to process. Let me run through some of those. And again, this is part of what I would do in the therapy process with individuals back when I maintained my counseling practice. There are going to be some things that you'll need to come to terms with inside so that you can get to those higher priorities. What are we talking about? First, I'm hoping that, and this can sound strange, I'm hoping you can acknowledge I'm still free to hate. I'm still free to hold on to bitterness. I'm still free to cling to my contempt. Now, you may think, wait a minute, Carter, didn't you just say that we're trying to get beyond the anger? And the answer is yeah. And part of it, and this kind of sounds strange, but part of the getting beyond it is to remind yourself, I don't have to do this. I can be a hateful person. I can cling to hard emotions. But then that brings up another question, and that is, does that help me? Does that work? Does that get me to where I want to go? Now, my personal conclusion is, no, it really doesn't. So it remains an open option, but it's a really rotten option because it keeps you tied to the one who generated all that junk on the inside of you to begin with. Instead, let's just say, why don't we broaden our focus? Now, there's a certain pessimism that I have, and that is, as I survey human nature, the broad human tendencies out there, I've concluded that a very high percentage of people don't really think very deeply about the meaning of life and how to be a positive person of impact. It doesn't mean that they have complete narcissism, every one of them, but some folks just aren't deep thinkers. And then the rest of what I conclude is there's a lot of depravity in this world. It's a broken world, and there are many people who have many broken patterns of living. I was exposed to that, and I accept that, but I want to be one of those who says I can get beyond that. In addition, I'm hoping you can develop a type of pity towards the narcissist and those of that person's ilk who choose hate over love, who choose contempt over letting go. On top of that, I'm hoping you can maintain a certain objectivity about the narcissist delusions. It's important for you to realize this, because they're going to want to say, well, the problem that I have is you're a terrible person. You're no good. You make no sense. I'm grand. And so much of their thinking doesn't make sense. It doesn't match pitch with reality. And rather than saying, I've got to make them change their way of thinking, no, I don't. I'm just going to be objective. It's not about me. It's about them. They're stuck. They're fixated in a very early stage of psychological turmoil. On top of that, as you look back on the anger that you've experienced and the hurt that you've experienced, you don't need to excessively apologize for what you've been through. I mean, you can look back and say, I made some mistakes or I responded poorly. Well, you know what? No one responds really well when they've been abused. And so, yes, make restitution where necessary, but don't kick yourself so much that you take responsibility for the damage that was created by a narcissistic person. On top of that, be thankful you survived. Be thankful that you're at the place of saying, I want to move on. It's time for me to enter into a much deeper phase of my own maturation and actualization. Perhaps you used to feel stuck, but you realize right now, but I'm not stuck. Hold on to that thought. In addition, I'm hoping you can come to terms with life's ultimate goodness. As you look back and think about all the turmoil and the tension and the strain that the narcissist created, you can remind yourself, I wasn't created for that. Life is not meant to be one big emotional wrestling match. I was created for love. I was created for goodness, and I want to lean into that, and I want to understand it, and I want to make that a lifelong goal to figure out what that means. And then on top of that, use your experiences of anger and hurt and disillusionment to develop empathy for others who may have had some similar experiences. Now, one thing you'll notice as I talk about these reflections, the narcissist can't go into that space. They have such a need to prop up their false self. They have such a need to blame and to find out whoever's responsible for them that they can't take responsibility for themselves. They hold on to their anger. It defines them. And ultimately, the anger has a vice grip on their soul. Now, they may declare themselves the victor, and they may say, well, I sure proved to you that I'm the better person. And my response is, I don't care what you declare. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but you're so delusional that you can say whatever you want. It just isn't something I feel like I have to certainly accept, and I'm not going to make any kind of excuses on your behalf. Simply put, narcissists can't escape their own self-induced misery. Now, I mentioned, Gus is going to think about that one. I mentioned that we want to aim towards our higher priorities. As you can come to terms with the anger that you felt, what would be your better priorities as you move forward? And keep in mind, this is a years-long process. This isn't just a couple of weeks and you got it figured out. I'm hoping when you say, I want to have higher priorities, you can decide, I choose to accept what is about the narcissist, about me. I'm not going to go into any kind of delusional thinking. I choose patience. I choose self-restraint. I choose calm firmness. And then I'm going to follow up that calm firmness by choosing detachment from dysfunctional people. I choose boundaries. I'll define my own version of myself, and I'm going to live inside my version of myself, even when others invite me to go in a different direction. I choose dignity and respect and civility. That's what we do here on Team Healthy. I choose to humbly acknowledge my frailties. I give myself to say, permission to say, I really am a work in progress. I choose joy. I'm going to seek ways to lean into goodness and bring goodness and joy to other individuals. I understand that my significance is enhanced as I build upon this, help build the significance of other individuals. I'm going to maintain an awakened mind. I'm not shocked by people who are deranged, and I'm very aware of my minority status. When I say I'm going to be in a growth mode, I wish more people could join me, but I'm going to be very alert and objective about those kind of things. And ultimately, I choose peace. I don't want the turmoil that the narcissist's anger generates, and I'm going to trust myself. And that decision is in my hands. It's not in the narcissist's hands. They can stay with their anger. I've had plenty of my own anger. I don't want to park at that place. I'll never again filter my life patterns through the mind of a deranged and immature person. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good inspiration for who you can be and how you can make sense of the frustrations that you've had. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. I consider it a privilege that you allow me to be a part of your growth journey. Know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. When you're dealing with something like this, many of you have come to the conclusion, I could use some help with a therapist who could help me sift this out. If you have somebody in your space that you can go to personally, that would be great. If not, we have the online service. It's proven to be very effective, and sometimes you just don't have the availabilities. There's a link below that you can click through, and you can select a therapist that will help you in that. Please get the help that would be warranted. Now, on top of that, I've put together a whole lot of resources on my website. This is who I am. It's what I do. I've got a history of writing and doing seminars and workshops. And so we have online classes that I've put together. Each class has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts. We have anger games. This is me about boundaries. Free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. Ready, set, connect, about having healthy connections. And then in addition, we have workshops that I presented. They're 90-minute PowerPoint presentations along with plenty of articles and my books, lots of resources. Avail yourself to that. No doubt, narcissism leads to a lot of anger. The narcissist is going to push anger toward you. You're going to feel it in reverse. But at some point, I'm hoping you can say, what am I going to do after the anger? And I'm hoping that this can give you something of a roadmap to go with. I wish you success as you disconnect from their dysfunction and as you move further and further towards your steadiness, which I'm hoping can bring you genuinely a sense of peace.